Well, greetings and thanks for joining us for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 178. We're live most Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central Time, and we are also available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. A light bulb moment is a sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. So hopefully you'll get a spark today. At Qnity, we're here to go from what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a clearer and simpler path towards prosperity, whatever that looks like for you. To prosper, remember to manage your currencies, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious time with us today. Today, we have two sets of guests. We have the one and only Robert Reed from ERGO Styling ERGO Styling Tools. And we also have members of the Randolph family, including Scott and Austin Randolph of Randolph Salon in Michigan. We're going to have two great conversations with these special guests today, so it's a double-packed episode. We still will end at the normal time, somewhere between 45 to 50 minutes after the hour. We love hearing from you, whether you submit a light bulb moment to your own by the chat, email, or comment. Again, we love to hear from you, so please use the chat today. Or if you're listening to this in the podcast or watching on YouTube, certainly use the comments because that really helps fuel the conversation. Our last guest was Jane Morehouse of Jane & Company and the Beauty Industry Report, PR specialist, and also has a beat on the industry, especially with the beauty brands, manufacturers, distributors, and publishes something called the Beauty Industry Report about 6 times a year. And it's a great publication. We recommend you subscribe to it. So check out that as a recent episode. Again, Jane was our last guest. Here we get to see a headshot of Jane. So Lightbulb Moments is proudly sponsored by Lightheart Sanders as well as Qnity. So thanks to them for being a sponsor of this forum. Our calendar coming up here. We do have some programs coming up in Austin, Texas on March 2nd. We have our Succession Masterclass on March 3rd. We have our Profit Workshop. And then on March 4th, we have our Growth Workshop. We also are starting a new group of owners that we will work with. That's subject to an application and an intent. So this is a way to fast track your succession strategy and come up with an actual plan. We also have our execution workshop in Minnesota in April, and then we have the Phil coming up on May 18th through 20th in Austin, Texas again. Also, watch for more information. We're starting to schedule meetings with participants of the 2024 P&L study. The findings are rich and fascinating, and you'll start to hear more about this in upcoming sessions, as well as you'll probably see in some things published in the industry. But what's most important is we get to participants, and we're working on that now to go through their own P&L benchmark report. Monday noon, we just had a great Monday noon this particular week, and we do one a season. That is a forum to bring hot topics to the forefront for our community. And then we also have function forums. The next one's coming up is February 24th, and we systematically go through the 5 functions: marketing, education, operations, finance, and human capital. And these are deeper dives into those with guests. And then the Phil, our theme this year is all about play, gamification, tactile learning, and how we can go from knowing to doing with a fresh and new approach. So this is play, a play with an element of sophistication, and super excited about the theme. Don't forget about Money 02, which is a podcast by Aaron, and that really goes through some amazing money stories. My light bulb moment last session really came out of conversations with Jane. We covered a ton of different topics, trends in the industry, what she's seeing. And so I'm going to keep my light bulb moment this week very short because what I want to do is immediately get to our guests because we've got a jam-packed episode. So without any further ado, Robert, if we can welcome you to the screen and then welcome you to the mic. And there you are.
Hey, good morning.
Well, good morning. Thanks for getting up early because you are in California and you look bright and energetic, though.
Yeah, thank you. Just take a look at my hair. Make sure it's okay.
You look
Looking
great.
okay?
Robert, I've had the privilege to know you for very, very many years, and you've been a great friend. You've been a great industry contributor. You've also been a key part of several of our events, and you certainly, I'm going to read a little bit about your background. Really, ERGO Research is really all about the art of the blow dry, and it's really about education. It's really about tools that's driven by education, and you're a passionate advocate for making sure that tools becomes part of the client experience. And we all wish that many clients went home with more of your tools. So, all right.
That's a good hope.
All right. You are a family operated business, and which we can get to in a little bit. Now, there's a lot of things we can talk about. You could do session after session about tools, success factors, and all of that. And you just are an encyclopedia of knowledge. But today, we're going to talk about adversity. And you're a person that has had some adversity, and we're going to look at two specific examples and really look at what we learned from those. So let's start with your fire, not to be confused with the devastating fires in the LA area, but something completely unrelated and unique to you. And tell us what happened on September 27th of last year.
Well, it's great to work. Thank you, Tom, for the invitation today. Always great to share time with you and the Qnity family. September 27th is a Friday, and it's great to work at ERGO because we take Friday afternoons off to begin a weekend with our family and friends. And I was aroused from my afternoon nap by my wife, who said, "Our building is on fire." And shortly thereafter, my phone started to blow up with phone calls from all of my business neighbors who told me that the fire department, 5 trucks had arrived and they were starting to cut open my building, which was on fire. It was an electrical fire. The source of the fire is still unknown, but it just appears as though we had a conduit flame up. And unfortunately, it took everything down in the building. So it consumed all of our inventory in our warehouse area, and the rest of the building suffered smoke and water damage. I'm happy to say that they began reconstruction yesterday. So we are reimagining our life in the building and reimagining the space.
So you've lost all your inventory.
Yeah, we lost, the building was a total loss. We lost, well, let's just say high 6 figures in inventory. Yeah. So fortunately, everyone was out of the building and no one was harmed. Also, fortunately, my entire team was in town because we were preparing to celebrate our 30th anniversary. So we were planning a big celebration, and everyone ran to the building and saw it just consumed as flames. We recently visited the fire department because we're planning a grand reopening, and we're inviting all of the firefighters to come join us for some tacos. We're going to have a taco truck there.
Very cool. So for many, that would take them out of business. And but here you are today. And some of your ability to withstand this had to do with some philosophies you had in life, of which, you know, sort of 3 philosophies that you implemented. Let's go there.
Yeah. Adversity learning experience, but preparation for events like this is something no one wants to go through. But in 2003, when I was 51 years old, I started to think that I really needed to plan for the future and plan for adversity. So I learned from my older brother that there are 3 rules of life. and everyone here at ERGO knows what they are. They go something like this. Stuff happens. Maybe you've seen that bumper sticker before.
Mhm.
Stuff happens every day, and you have to deal with the stuff. Now, his perspective came from film production, because when you're on the set, stuff happens. In life, stuff happens too. And I began to think again at the age of 51 that I really needed to have a plan for adversity. So I had heard many times that it's a good idea to have a certain amount of money in the bank to carry you through a time of trouble. And I started to think that this would be wise for my employees too. So I began to plan for adversity if it was to happen in a big way. And of course, that's the way life comes, with unexpected moments. We learned a lot through COVID, which is, I think, some of the preparation you're speaking about. And we had, everyone had adversity and trauma during that time. But we had trauma in our continuing our business, and mainly because of transportation issues in bringing in our brushes and other tools from out of the country in the ports of Los Angeles. So, beginning in around 2020, we began to bring in inventory and keep it at an offsite warehouse. So at the time of our fire, we had 80% of our top sellers as in a backup inventory offsite. So when we had that trauma, we were able to resume our business quite promptly.
That's incredible. So you had the foresight to have 80% of your top sellers were in another building, in the same town, same area. Where's the other building?
It was in North Hollywood, so it's about 20 miles away. During COVID, again, you had to learn how to, just go with what needed to be done and learn how to get it done. So I learned a lot about local transportation. I learned about offsite warehouses. So we could move merchandise from the port, move it to our warehouse when needed. So it's about 20 miles away. And we just learned how to deal with that. So
You also you talked about how your team mobilized, and you did a relocation to a house. You did so. Kind of take us through how your team rallied and steps you had to take.
it was really amazing to stand shoulder to shoulder with my wife, Marlene, with Brock Goldberg, our Chief Marketing Officer, Zach Goldberg, our Chief Experience Officer, Tyler Robitaille, our Community Manager, Ron Smale, our Warehouse Manager, and watch this building go down. But everyone's spirits were lifted knowing that we work so well together as a team, and that we would be able to survive this as we survived COVID, as we survived economic downturns. And on the next day, we met at Brock's home, which is about 5 miles away from our warehouse. And the team put together their own written recovery program about how we were going to deal with this. It's such a moment of pride for me to know that the coaching and also from them being around smart people like at a Qnity event really prompted them into thinking about creating a step-by-step recovery program about how we could resume serving our customers. So by Sunday, the program was written. By Monday, we moved into Brock's home, took over his life and his wife Alyssa's life totally, and built a storage area and a shipping area in his large backyard. So we built a tented, floored storage area that would allow us to begin resuming serving our customers. And we did so within 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, we were able to resume our business. We had to fly in some inventory from our factories to fill in the extra 20% that we didn't have. And within 60 days, we were fully back in inventory and operating almost like nothing happened, but in a different place.
I wish I would have requested some photographs from you. And if nothing else, I just have to see Brock's backyard. What a great guy. And that's, that's really a big testament to you and your team. I mean, your team is an extra mile because we know all those guys and they're just really sound humans, as you are. Um, so with the fire, then, so I think what you said is that you had basically full inventory by Black Friday. Is that right?
Yeah, by Black Friday, we were operating on all cylinders.
Yeah.
At the end of every day, my team members would fill their trucks with our orders, take them to either the post office or the UPS store. So, I mean, things were different, but they were still operating, in a very concise, planned manner, just resuming what they needed to do and get it done.
You talked a little bit about insurance and the importance of being properly insured, but also reviewing your coverages on a frequent basis. Let's talk about that a moment.
So many years early on in the days of ERGO, we didn't even have insurance. But I recognized about 20 years ago that you need things like you need a partner to help guide you in being properly insured. So I was fortunate to develop a relationship with a great insurance advisor who helped me set up everything for our workers' compensation and for liability insurance. We selected a well-known carrier, which is the Hartford. And annually, we get together and we review every aspect of how we are covered because those three rules of life, stuff happens. Stuff happens every day and you have to deal with the stuff. That can be at any aspect of your business. It could be a slip and fall. It could be someone at a trade show getting harmed while they're setting up the show. But in this instance, it was with our business personal property being properly insured, not only at our main location, but at our offsite warehouse. So even though that offsite warehouse is part of a multi-billion-dollar organization and they have their own insurance, it didn't cost much more to insure our offsite inventory. By the way, it was only about $3,000 a year to cover all that inventory value, but it allowed me to rest well and know that we were properly covered. So the first day after the fire on that Saturday, I received a call from my Hartford representative who has done really a great job in advocating for us. I was so surprised. At the fire, which took place again around 3:30 on a Friday afternoon, by 4 o'clock, you can't even imagine how many ambulance chasers were at our location with fire restoration companies and insurance adjuster advocates, lawyers to help us through this process. But it is my job now to guide us through this adversity, work with all the insurance companies, of which there were three, for my business park, for some of the other neighbors that we had, as well as my own. So being properly insured was very comforting to our whole team. I was able to tell them that, no one's job is at risk, that we're properly prepared. We're prepared to maintain our business without any revenue for months while we got back on our feet.
Yeah. Wow. What a incredible. Let's spend a few minutes before we bring the Randolphs on, and let's talk about another chapter of adversity for you. And 2008, 2009, big economic downturn. And I think what you said is that all of the factories that you were working with went bankrupt. And so
within 30 days.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So that's another round of adversity you've been through.
Yeah, that was a tough time for many people in our audience. Maybe they don't even know of that or they didn't experience that, but the world just about went into the toilet economically. And within 30 days, all of the small family-owned factories that I had vetted early on in the days of ERGO filed some form of bankruptcy within 30 days. Most notably, my number one manufacture of our hair dryers because they were so scared and without a plan for this kind of adversity started to sell behind our back. And we had to close the business. We had to put ERGO to sleep. We had that same building that burned down totally empty, if you can imagine, just with office equipment, but nothing in the warehouse. So we had the necessity to rethink what we wanted to do, rethink who we wanted to do it with, and also had the opportunity about how we wanted to do it. So in 2011, after having some new inspirations and new thinking about who we wanted to be and what we wanted to do, we relaunched ERGO as a direct-to-salon distribution, so direct-to-salon manufacturer, and with the objective of being more than a transactional company. We created an educational program to support stylists because hairdressing is a fantastic profession, but there's a lot of wear and tear on the body. So my past experience in working with insurance companies and ergonomists helped us develop the educational program called The Art of the Blowdry, which is a mastery of the most repetitive, debilitating, and for a lot of people, the least fun aspect of hairdressing, which really has propelled us.
You know, I'm kind of recollecting because I was around in both those eras. I mean, I remember working with you a long, long time ago, sort of pre-2008, you know, and then after. And I definitely, now that you're saying this, I can definitely see the change in your business model now that I reflect, you know, but not being in the thick of it like you. And so, but you came back and you thrived, you pivoted, you found the silver lining, and here you are today.
Yes, here we are today. But it began, we rebirthed in 2011 as a direct-to-salon manufacturer, but it started the journey all over again, knocking on doors. We had 3 brushes, a, a hair dryer, and a flat iron. And I relied upon the relationships I developed in serving hairdressers and salon owners over the prior 30 years. So those doors were open to me. Conversations went very well because I was able to state our objective of being more than a transactional company, but being a true professional partner, just as important to their stylists and their guests as a hair care brand, because you can't finish your hair without tools.
I was on with Candice Gliato, the owner of Citrus Salon, right before we had our prep session. And I told her that I was on with you, and she said to tell you that she can't keep 750s on the shelf. They're going so fast. What's a 750 and why is it flying off the shelves? Here's an opportunity for you to do a little promotion, shameless promotion.
Yeah, thank you for that. Just about 7 years ago, I was meeting with a celebrity stylist who had this actress, Jennifer Aniston, as his client, and he provided her services on her extensions. He was blow drying her hair with a scalp massage brush because it would work through her hair without tangling, and it melted in her hair. So he shared with me this trauma that they both experienced and suggested that if I could develop a brush that would work through this kind of fine hair, extensions, which are very delicate at the point of attachment, that we would have a big winner. And I realized that there's a whole group of guests within this category, guests with fine hair that's been recently blonded because hair has been exposed to highlighting, is very, very fragile when it's wet, extensions, and guests with sensitive scalp. So I conceived this idea of a super gentle collection. And the 750 is one of our small paddles in that collection. It is a multi-purpose brush, works through the hair just so smoothly, easily, and comfortably, but it's heat resistant. So it's used for blow drying also in So it's a favored model within that collection, which includes round brushes and a large paddle brush. Super Gentle we introduced in the end of 2022 and is now fully 40%, maybe even more of our business. So it's opened up a whole new category of guests who were underserved.
Now, after we're done with this session, I'm going to need to go up into the master bathroom, and I think that's exactly what my wife has too. Robert, you are such a great guy, such a great story. Thanks for your vulnerability and sharing some of your tragedies, if you will, or I mean, some pretty devastating stuff. So everybody give Robert a virtual round of applause. You have another $1 million light bulb coming to you, Robert.
Oh,
And
thank you. The other one is somewhere in storage. The restoration company took everything out of our offices, so I was hoping that, but it's in a myriad of 2 large storage containers. So thank you very much for that. I'm looking forward to it.
all right, thanks for being such a great guest, a great friend, and for everything you do for the industry. All right.
Thank you. I couldn't do it alone, so I want to thank my team, my wife, Marlene, and all those around us that have supported us through this difficult time and allowed us to reemerge even stronger than ever.
Bravo. All right. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. And thanks to all of you listening today. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Lightbulb Moment. Thanks again to the Randolphs. And thanks again to Robert Reed. Signing out. Bye, everybody.